Oh, hi. This week, we're gonna turn this t-shirt into the thing I am currently wearing. It seems like a nice, basic, beginner-friendly sewing project. I try to do some like more professional finishes, but hit a couple of frustration walls and gave up on those. But we pivoted. We did some troubleshooting and we found alternative methods. I'm going to show you all of that because not everything goes smoothly, and I've been told over the years that that is an aspect of my projects that people appreciate, even though to me this feels like a pretty basic thing to do, where I've certainly made more complicated and involved things before without any issues. This should have been like piece of cake done in 15 minutes, and that's not what happened. But I'll walk you through, because something I have trouble with is if I'm doing a project, following a pattern, following a tutorial or something, if there is an issue that is commonly run into and that's not addressed, and the person, like, if they do hit a roadblock and they don't like talk us through it as the viewer, reader, whatever, I do find that really frustrating, because it's like, well, if I'm likely to have this issue, I want to know how to like overcome that or other options if like this just isn't working. I don't know. As you can see, it ended up coming out fine. I'm very pleased with this, and I'm going to wear it a lot more. It's a Totoro t-shirt. I've liked the design, but as with most shirts that fit me like width-wise, I'd probably call it like a baby doll style shirt, perhaps. Is that still a term people use? I don't know. I never liked the term. Made to fit a maybe more petite body in other ways, but I'm a broad-chested bitch, so sleeves and shoulder seams never fit right on me. Like, they are supposed to hit at the corner of your shoulder because it's a shoulder seam. It's always like halfway up my neck, and then the sleeve ends up sitting weird, and it like flares out and is short and like turns into this weird cap sleeve situation. I know these sleeves are short to start with, but I hate how that looks. I've always felt like I'm about to Hulk out of something when I have shirts like this, but it was just the standard for anything I bought for a long time. So this is one of the many reasons I just make my own shit or alter something that already exists into something that I will enjoy. In addition to the sleeves, me not liking that, it is a lighter gray, and that's not typically a color I go for because I'm a sweaty motherfucker. I didn't notice at first, but laying the shirt out, I did realize there's a little bit of discoloration at the underarms. Like, it happens, man. I ruined like all my clothes, especially in high school, because I get nervous sweats, where if I know I'm going to be doing something where I will be disgustingly hot and just soaked, I will choose my wardrobe accordingly and go for a tank top or something. So this is fixing that issue. And honestly, when a collar is tight like this, it's not strangling me. It is comfortable, but only if I'm sitting up straight. And that's not the worst thing, because genuinely it'll correct my posture, because it's not pulling on my throat unless I'm sitting like a cashew, which I often default to because my whole body hurts all the time. So sitting up straight feels like a lot of effort, but then that won't be an issue. And I think I covered all the bases, other than like, it's super gloomy out in black, and this is my like rainy day shirt. Let's jump to like actually getting into the project. First step was to cut off the sleeves. Then you could leave it like this and just keep the collar intact with the sleeves off, hemmed or unhemmed, and just have a nice muscle tee tank. I don't know if it's referred to a t-shirt anymore, if it doesn't make the T shape without the sleeves. You know what I mean? A muscle shirt. I feel like this is the kind of thing people wear to the gym a lot, because I assume it's because of the sweat stains, but I don't know if there's a different, is it just to show your muscles better? I don't have much in the way of those, so wouldn't know. So I was initially going to unpick everything with a seam ripper, because it's very like repetitive, cathartic work to do, but it was gonna make a messier edge than me cutting it, and I didn't need to like save every bit of fabric for this, where sometimes that is the case, where it is vital to unpick the seams so that I'm not losing even the seam allowance to repair something or like remake or take a pattern off a thing. The other upside to cutting stuff off here is A, it's quicker, but B, there is this reinforcement that goes across both shoulders and then like along the back of the shirt, because I feel like the back neck is where a lot of strain happens, and the shoulders. Often tops have reinforcements right along here. I often will add like grosgrain ribbon or something to the shoulder seam just to like help it out, you know? So had I unpicked this, I find I always end up just like taking that whole thing off, and then the shirt's weaker and Cutting through all this just omitted all of these issues. So I did find that there was a hole in the armpit when I went to cut the sleeve off. I was like, oh, the shirt already got itself started for me. Had I wanted to keep that same size armhole with the separation that was starting down the side seam, I could have just stitched that back up. I didn't have to cut it off like I did, because I went back in and opened things up a little bit more, which at any point in this process, it's a knit. It's a double knit jersey t-shirt material. It's stretchy. It's not gonna fray. You can just leave these edges raw. They won't look as neat, and they might be more prone to getting stretched out the more you wear it and it go through the wash and all that stuff. But you can stop at this point as well and just like have snipped things off and you get a tank top, and it's great. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to lower the front more, but I'm working with what I have. Sleeves, I opened up a little bit more, so I have full range of motion with the old pterodactyl wings. And then I lowered the back as well, which I don't know that I've actually shown you. Okay, so since I am in fact hemming all of these edges, I am going to do something I learned from, I think it was a McCall's pattern a number of years ago. This is the video I first tried that pattern out on, and I never heard of doing this with knits, but I really like the finish it gave. It's just doing a stay stitch, which if you don't know, it's just a basting stitch. You don't need to back tack anything. So the longest stitch possible, and I went in 1/4 of an inch, but I'm using this as like the fold line for my shirt, where a stay stitch has different uses, where often you just need it to be less far in than whatever your proper stitching line is going to be. But again, I'm using this to like fold things over and keep the edge nice. And because I had some hiccups, it also kept everything from like getting all warped and not all stretched out and wonky, and kept everything nice and even. So even just for that, I'm very glad that I did the stay stitching. So I did that around each of the holes. Here's where the messiness begins, is I wanted to do my twin needle for this. Fold that edge over once along that stay stitching line, but I ended up having a lot of issues with my twin needles, where I thought maybe the twin needle itself is just worn out. So I switched to a different one and a narrower one, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't wider than the folded over edge I was gonna have. And then that didn't seem to be the issue, and I was using 2 serger spools, and something about that thread, even though it seems to be a similar weight to the Gooderman all-purpose thread I was using, but something about it just was not going through the fabric. Like even just switching to a zigzag stitch, it still kept skipping stitches. Is driving me bonkers. I think there's some like very disgruntled noises I was making because I didn't know what the problem was, and I rethreaded everything, I redid the bobbin, I changed the needles, and even switching to a new ballpoint needle. Ballpoints are helpful for stretchy material, so it doesn't like catch on the actual fibers and pull things out of sorts. Where you want sharp needles for wovens, don't stress about it if you don't have jersey specific needles. Universal ones will be fine. Whatever you get is probably going to be fine. So then finally I changed the thread as like a last ditch effort, like something is the issue here. I don't know. It can't just be that the material is unsewable. Like that is not super likely. Once in a great while, there is some type of fabric that shit's just not gonna work out. I went to make handkerchiefs for like a groomsmen party, a party of groomsmaids, and the person that bought the fabric got like swimsuit material, like a lycra thing, and they got interfacing for it and no lining fabric. So if you want it to, there needs to be another layer here, and it was impossible to like do a rolled hem on that. It was not going to work. So that is a project I ended up tapping out of, because they also like refused to just find other fabric. I was like, I can't do this for you then. So I don't know what actually ended up happening with that. I did my best, and I really tried to figure it out, but it wasn't happening. So this is t-shirt material, which I've sewn through 10,000 times. I knew that couldn't be the problem. So switching to the all-purpose thread, it did the trick. I could have / maybe should have found another spool somewhere, or loaded up a bobbin and then used that to pair up threads for my twin needle. Like there could have been another route to take to get the twin needle to work, since this thread seemed to be like actually sticking, but I didn't have it in me to get disappointed with that again. So I just stuck with the zigzag stitch. I think it still looks fine. I'm more than happy with this, and it's like a perfectly matching gray. It's not like it's sticking out. And also, God forbid someone sees the stitches and knows that it was sewn together. It's clothing. Not everything has to be like invisible to the eye. I like having contrasting thread sometimes to like highlight that and just add some fun, you know? But I'm pretty content with how the seams look. So, and yeah, just went around everything, took my time, made sure things were folded over. You can pin as you go. I would actually use like clips for this to hold things in place, but I generally go rogue when pins or clips should be used. And I don't know what originally gave me the audacity to do that, but here I am. Okay, I had to stop because there was a really loud noise and it was stressing me out. But while I was waiting for that to subside, I hand wrote out the names of everybody for this week because I usually do a little scrawl, and this seemed like a cute way to do it. I don't know. Do y'all care? If you don't know, these are my patrons. Thank you everybody for being here. That, like, writing this out really, I might have welled up a little bit. It really drove home how many of you there are, because it's hard to like keep the folks that are seeing this and hanging out and like supporting me in a multitude of ways when I'm just kind of like talking at a camera. But it means so much. I was able to actually take last week off because of y'all, so thank you very, very much for that, and decompress in the woods of Maine for a while and got to hang out with some really lovely friends. I got to try a bunch of different foods I'd never had before, I didn't even know existed, and I am very happy to have those in my brain forever now. Just good hangs with good folks, and I'm very appreciative of getting to take the time to do that. Try to just like disconnect for a few days. I did pick up some cards that hopefully are to everybody by now for the Mailtime perk, but I picked up some cards from a local artist that I really liked, and that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm on a trip is like find goodies to share with the physical tiers. So that was like the one work mission I had while I was up there, and it's always fun doing that kind of thing. I did also get some fun fabrics and some lino block carving supplies to print my own fabrics, and a nice teal fabric ink for block printing that it's an impossible color for me to figure out how to mix. So I found a good one, because if you have not noticed, I like teal things. Also, speaking of people supporting me and just like being the best, Sama made me this custom mug with my stickers on it, and she gets me. This is the perfect color palette. It's the perfect size mug because I have real big hands. It's beautiful, and she's making mugs and tumblers and coffee cups and stuff like that over on her Etsy page. Please go support a friend. She has some really, really gorgeous designs, and we'll make you some custom ones, and she has stickers of her own that she can add to if you want extra art involved. I did have an exciting thing happen in my Etsy shop the other day, which is someone bought the Howl's Moving Castle cardigan, which truly is one of my favorite things I've ever made, and it just made me so happy to have it go to a good home. As soon as I finished filming that video, I didn't wear it anymore. It needs to be worn, so I'm very glad that somebody got excited about it. And I am offering like custom made to order like sizing on that, so I know obviously a lot of the stuff I make is like close to my size because I'm used to making stuff for me, but don't ever hesitate to like ask about different sizings. I don't charge more for bigger sizes because that seems wildly unfair, and yeah, I wanna make things that you will enjoy wearing. It's clothes should make you feel good and not bad about yourself. Before I climb onto that soapbox, the project I was gonna do today before I grabbed this shirt was, I've seen these Target crossbody camera bags multiple like seasons the past year or two, and I really like the size and everything, and I haven't made much in the way of like just straight up purses, so I have figured out the like schematics of what size they are and how long the straps are and everything. I'm gonna make a checkerboard pattern. This is specific to an anime I've been watching called Demon Slayer. This is Totoro, inspired by him. I'm gonna do it with some vinyl if things all go to plan. I'm doing the little like prototype test run thing to see if like my math is okay. So I don't use the really nice fabric first. So if you want to stick around to see that and you aren't already subscribed, feel free to come hang. If you want to hang harder, I also have a Discord that's free to join. Just shoot me a message and I will send you an invite link. And I think that's it. I don't have much else to share from my trip other than I did a needle felting project for the first time. I have photos of that up on the Patreon if you want to see them. I made a little Bert. I'm very proud of the little guy. I can feel how tired I still am. This heat is absolutely wrecking me. I'm gonna crank this fan back up, get some food. That's gonna do it for me. I will see you back here with another video next Friday. Thank you so much for hanging out. Prepare yourself if you ever come to the Northeast. It's a sweat box. I'm just having a grand old time this time of year. I don't know why I bother taking notes when I don't look at them. Makes me feel powerful.